Right. So, hello and good evening, everyone. Good morning, good day, depending on which part of the world you're listening or watching from. This is AAA Foundation. My name is Efwan Ponsa, and I'm here with our guest, Paul Asante, our favorite guest on this um, advocacy when it comes to menstrual health and breaking the stigma, anything to do with period. We like to have him as a guest, and reason being the fact that he's so passionate when it comes to this, and it's good to see a man advocate solely on this project or this conversation, or this issue. Let me put it that way. So yes, it's always a pleasure having him as a guest, and for him to share his knowledge with us, and also share his advocacy journey with us. So again, we're here today on Flow for All, mainly to throw light on those living with disability. Aside the fact that they are more or less, a marginalized part or people when it comes to community. They go through a lot as it is. They face a lot of stigma because of their disability. And then when it comes to period poverty, they're also not left out. So this is to throw a light or shed more light on people with disability when it comes to menstrual health. And today we're going to actually talk more on menstrual health without limits. And I mean, the topic speaks for itself. So before we go or we delve into it, Mr. Paul Asante, please introduce yourself again to our dear listeners and viewers.
So, hello once again, our lovely audience. It's good evening from Ghana. I believe it's good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Paul Asante. I'm an SDG advocate. I'm also a procurement specialist with
Again
the
to
Human
our dear
Development
listeners.
Corporation here in Ghana, and also a gender focal person for the energy cluster of GIZ here in Ghana. I'm very passionate when it comes to menstrual hygiene, advocacy, and that is having this conversation. So stay tuned, enjoy, and feel free to contribute, send your suggestions, and your questions are most welcomed as well. Over to you, Efua.
Yes, thank you very much. I just realized my camera is still off. Pardon me with my hair. It's one of those days with the hair. So right. So thank you all very much for joining. And then today we're going to talk about menstruation or menstrual health without limits. So today I'm gonna try and be open about the words that I use without feeling because we talked about it on our last program or event where we were still trying to sugarcoat and not call things out as it is. It shows
Yeah,
how we're still not really there yet, because when it
yeah,
comes to period or menstruation, we try our best to sort of, I don't know, not have the conversation, but it is a conversation that needs to be
yeah,
had. So today I'm going to try my best not to shy away from using words that are actually what it is, and be bold to call it as it is. So today we're going to talk about menstruation. We're going to talk about periods, and that's on periods.
yeah.
Right. So let's start from what this whole event is about, or this whole advocacy is about, and what we are trying to achieve with all this plenty talk, or disturbing your feet and whatnot. So Mr. Paul, because it is your initiative and we're joining as partners, I don't want to take the shine from you. So if you can give us a little bit of background, especially for those that are new, just listening now or
Yeah.
joining in now and do not know a lot about what we are trying to achieve here. If you can give us a rundown, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Efua. And to our audience, welcome once again. So, as as a passionate SDG advocate, specifically for SDG number 5, that talks about gender equality. Every year on my birthday, as part of climaxing my birthday, I carry outreach, specifically a menstrual advocacy outreach in any rural community in Ghana here. Over the past 3 years, the focus has been on rural community schools in the eastern region. And this year, I have identified a very unique school, which is a Akropong school for the blind here in Ghana in the eastern region. And I feel that persons with disability looked about, they are least supported when it comes to in terms of period poverty, in terms of menstrual hygiene and all that. So this year I've decided to embark on an outreach to donate some menstrual products or hygiene kits, as a way of climaxing my birthday, which was in August. And not just the donation per se, but also serve as a medium to offer career coaching and mentorship as well with a team of seasoned volunteers, professional volunteers in there. So basically, that is the purpose for which we are having this beautiful conversation. And I'm happy to collaborate with Triple A Foundation. And congratulations again to them for transitioning into a foundation now. So that is the purpose for which we are having this conversation. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, it's great to move from the social impact, even though we're still focused on making impact in terms of
Yeah.
we're still in that bracket of social impact. But yes, it is a great feeling to know that we're not just a social impact, but we're actually recognized as a charitable foundation or non-for-profit organization, which is
Organization. Yeah.
a great one for us as a team. So yeah, thank you very much. Well, Paul, so take us through the day. So let's say today is the day that we're making the donation. What else is the day going to be about? And then we'll pick up from there.
Yeah. So we'll set off from Accra. We'll get to Akropong. From Accra to Akropong, it's about 45 minutes drive, approximately. So we get there, we interact with the school authorities, and then the girls that we are targeting, there are about 100 blind girls in focus here. We meet with them, we interact with them. On career coaching, I believe there are many great destined leaders out there, irrespective of the fact that we may see them as disadvantaged or with some form of disability, but actually they are able to perform given the right environment and the resources. So we'll have some career coaching with a team of volunteers that would join us on that particular day, and then we would also serve as a way of mentoring. Some of them are even looking up to some of the professionals that we are going with to be able to follow their footsteps when it comes to mentorship. So some form of leadership mentoring will be brought to bear again, and then would also serve as a means of evangelizing, spreading the good gospel to them as well. And then we'll climax it with the donation. So we'll hand over a number of items, the sanitary pads, some hygiene kits like the toiletries, and some detergents as well. And then we call it a shot. We have some photos to stick around, and then we call it a day and return back to Accra safely.
Wow. Sounds like a full day. This is not nation as you said, which is great. And
Yeah,
I like the education part of it because today our conversation is going to be about the menstrual
yeah,
health without limits. Because even with us in schools, we I really still can't remember being taught how to manage um that time of the month. I'm doing it
yeah,
again. When you come when you have your menses. So I think with the Gen Zs, some of them can remember having this conversation, which is good. It means that time has evolved. So with the those with disability, I don't know how the school is, and I don't know why you chose it. If you can shed light on it, is there any way we're going to be able to, teach them on the day, or at least talk about the importance of owning your flow, how to cater for yourself during the time of the month, what it's all about? Is there anything like that in the program?
Yes. So this will be my second time visiting there. The first one was with my organization as part of Climaxing International Women's Day. So I got a feel of how the school is and how the students, understand some of these things. Now, it will interest you to know that they have nicknamed sanitary pads as chocolates.
Okay.
So
That's
that is the name. That is the nickname they've given to sanitary, pad
I
as a
see.
chocolate. Yeah. So anytime they receive such donations from other organizations, NGOs, and then other well-meaning individuals, they term it as a chocolate day for them.
That's
You
nice.
get it?
I
Yes.
like it. It's
And
positive.
yes, so most of these students have been taught, even though they are blind, they have been taught how to use the sanitary pads and all that. But obviously, because it's a school, you would have new students coming in, and then as others also exiting at the end of their academic, season and all that. So we will
Mm.
have a brief session with them, and I understand that yes, the students have been oriented, even though they are blind, they have been spoken to, and they can feel, and they can feel some of these sanitary pads and all that. And interestingly, this is something amazing. I mean, even though we don't have sanitary products that are inscribed with the braille language and all that, God, in His own wisdom, has been able to give insight to some of these students in the sense that even though they can't see, but once they are spoken to, they get a pictorial, overview of how it is like, and then
Wow.
how to even use it. So that form of guidance is already there. It makes our
That's
work
good.
very easier. It makes our work very easier for us in terms of the advocacy and all that. But the key emphasis is that we are going to do some form of career coaching and then mentorship. Then we round it off with a donation as well to them. So as part of the career mentorship, yeah, we'll talk about some of these social vices and all that, and then the implications of not using the right sanitary products, what you stand to the impact of not using the right sanitary products, and then what it can do to your health. You
Hmm.
get it. So these are some of the things that will come up in our brief conversation with them as well.
That's great. That's great. Right. So let's go straight into it. Why is menstrual health very important? I know you're a guy, but then since you're my guest, I can't ask anybody but you. So why is
Yeah.
menstrual health? Okay, let me put it this way. Why is menstrual health so important to you as a guy? Why is it so important to
So,
you?
well,
these
as
these questions again.
no, it's an interesting question, and like I would always say, I never would shy away from having a frank discussion or an open discussion
Mm,
when it comes to menstrual health or anything related to period poverty. As an advocate for SDG number 5. That is a Sustainable Development Goal number 5 under the United Nations, which talks about gender equality. I feel that when it comes to persons with disability, we often do not see the free flow of menstrual hygiene in there because people shy away from talking about it because it is seen as a taboo or something. But I, as a man, I'm not shy to talk about it because I believe that as an advocate for gender equality, I have that passion and I believe that is my calling. So I have read about it in my previous employment, which I worked in the military hospital with some form of background when it comes to some of these public health issues and all that. I am confident that yes, I can equally speak on menstrual hygiene and that our kids or our girls in rural community schools, who most often are the disadvantaged ones, should be able to benefit from some of these things. I believe that the emphasis on shifting to disadvantaged communities or disadvantaged girls is something that is so passionate to me. And then I can be able, together with your team, we can create more impact and then more awareness in terms of that menstruation is something that we should never shy away from. Even as women, we should never shy away from it, because
Mm-hmm.
if we can't openly talk about it now in our community schools, or basically in schools, hardly would you hear them talk about it. It's very brief. They don't go so much into details. Basic thing is that if you're a female, and then at you reach puberty stage, and then you notice your first spots on blood, it means that at least you are gradually coming of age
Mm-hmm.
and probably becoming sexually active and all that. But it's just for a brief period. Now, me taking it further to be able to champion on menstruation, what goes into it? It is part of the human body. God has created us in such a unique way, and we can never do anything about it. And it's just for a period of about 5 days, 6 days, where you have, kind of, let's say, unclean blood, coming out of your reproductive system as part of your healthy living um, system. It is part of your system. You can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But once we talk about it, we have to create that awareness and let people understand that it is part of your human being. You should never shy away from it. If we don't talk about it now, chances are that you would have more teenage pregnancy on the rise when it comes to rural community areas. And even in urban areas, people also shy to talk about it. So once we start talking about it now, we create more awareness on it. We are able to reduce teenage pregnancy and then related health implications of not taking good care of yourself when it comes to menstruation,
Mm-hmm.
or even we link it to period poverty. So talking about it, for me, I think that the more I talk about it, the more I also get to learn new trends in menstruation, because you would have instances where people's periods may delay because of hormonal changes and the rest. Now, I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably will be forced to go and read about it. Maybe our lifestyle approaches are some of the things that are causing some of these delays here and there. So, as a man, I'm happy to talk about it. And I'm happy to educate, especially our disadvantaged girls, on it, what it means for a lady to menstruate, and then what are the implications when you don't have a proper flow, and then even the resources and the facilities around and all of that. So I'm happy to talk about it any day, anytime.
Right. um it's good to hear that it's not just about, some of these things, right? Some people just use it as a tick in the box, where
Yeah.
they donate on the, is it 28th of May every year,
Yes.
on the menstrual day, take pictures, and that's it. But I've seen you actively, and from what you've just, your submission, it looks like you're actually interested in the well-being of the girl child or the
Yeah.
female, and also to educate yourself with the knowledge to be able to be of help, which is great to see, which is great to hear. So it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. Thank you. As always, you're always like sharing a lot of insights as to why this means so much to you. So let's talk about equality. What are we trying to achieve, or should I say you trying to achieve with this advocacy?
Yes.
Why does being like, I mean, not everybody, menstruates, or this is not a guy's thing. So why are you fighting equality with menstrual health or menstruation?
Thank you, Efua. So, as part of fulfilling SDG number 5, that basically talks about gender equality. It's not just about gender equality, but then it's about women empowerment. That is the key phrase under SDG number 5. Empowerment, equal opportunities. Okay. Now, over the past years, not just in Ghana, but around the globe, in developing countries and even developed countries as well, Disadvantaged girls are the least talked about when it comes to menstruation, when it comes to period poverty, and all that. It is important that we create that level, that equal opportunities for, whether you are an urban city girl, you're a rural city girl, or even a disadvantage in terms of somebody with disability. Equality cuts across every facet of gender. No discrimination in here. And that is why I'm so passionate about it, especially for persons with disability, because we hardly even would, you see, when it comes to even national legislation and all that, we hardly have persons, with disability having equal access to
Mm.
opportunities and all that. Even in our washrooms, in our
Mhm.
corporate settings, do we even have um, facilities that even enable, let's say, persons with disability to move freely in our corporate settings and all that? So talk about even rural communities, the infrastructure that is there in terms of our educational facilities and all that, our toilet facilities and all that. Do we even have adequate resources in there to be able to cater for somebody with a disability? No. We have always had, we've always built our facilities around persons we consider as able and not disadvantaged.
That's true.
And this is where SDG number 5 comes into play: gender equality, women empowerment, because women are mostly the disadvantaged all over the world when
Hmm.
it comes to empowerment, policy decision, and all that. But it's high time that we create equal opportunity for them, and most especially persons with disability or those that are disadvantaged.
Right.
And these advocacy that I'm doing, or I mean that I've been doing for the past years now, it is to create the awareness again and also draw the attention of policyholders that as we begin on drafting budgets for approval by various governments and all that, we must equally factor in persons with disability, and then make sure that we have legislative instruments that actually ensures equal opportunity granted to them. And at no point in time should we discriminate against them,
Hmm.
because they matter to us in our national development as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I couldn't agree with you more. So it at the end of the day, even though we're talking about menstrual hygiene or menstrual health, the advocacy is actually more than just that, and which
exactly.
is great to see. These are, those with living with disabilities are people that we do neglect when it comes to making a lot of policies or decisions, and anything that affects our livelihood or living as
Yeah,
human. And it's not just in Africa, it's actually also in developed countries, because like you're saying, a lot of the decision makers just focus on able bodies, like you're saying, mainly because those living with disabilities are not even holding higher positions for that awareness to
yeah.
come. And this is where the taxes on menstrual products and seeing menstrual products as a luxury comes in. I
That's a
mean,
different.
how many women do we have in decision making? You see, so this is why we are fighting for for all of these things, because then a lot of the issues now wouldn't have been if this
Yeah,
had been considered. But it's
exactly.
good to see and it's good to hear that people are actually fighting and advocating for these norms to change, which needs to, because at the end of the day, I think from our last conversation, we established that disability is actually, in other words, this ability, because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, when given the right resources, when given the equity, and the resources for them to evolve, they do a lot. I've seen people with disabilities, doing a lot that able bodies are able to do. I mean, the Paralympics are going on, and these athletes are doing
Yeah,
extremely well. And I actually do enjoy watching the Paralympics because
yeah,
to me, it's like you don't really have any excuse
exactly.
to not thrive or to not do well as an able body. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
Um, because they have everything going against them, and they're still thriving. So imagine if they had everything at their disposal. So
exactly.
yes, this is a conversation that is not just to be left for discussion during the 28th of May every year. It should be an ongoing discussion or conversation, and I'm glad to be having it with you here, Paul. Great
I,
submission.
I think that we should, oh yes, so to add on to what you've said, we
Hmm.
shouldn't only focus on May 28th as the global day of celebrating menstrual hygiene day, but every day should be a menstrual hygiene day.
Hmm.
Every
I
day
agree.
should be a menstrual hygiene day because you definitely would have girls that are maturing, getting of age, and then they are
Hmm.
menstruating on a first day. What do they know about menstruation? Is this something that they should shy away from and all that? Do they even, in terms of especially those in our rural areas, they even have facilities enough to be able to accommodate when they are menstruation in terms of safe disposal of the sanitary parts and all that? So imagine that we only do it once every year. We go to sleep, and then next year on the 28th, we just do it just for the cameras. We just do it just for the cameras, donate sanitary pads to a few individuals here and there, and then that is the end of the discussion. Then we come back the following year, just repeat the same thing. It is high time that we do it every other day. Let's talk about menstruation every other day. Let's advocate to have taxes on sanitary products taken off in a legislative way so that we don't see this thing as a luxurious product. I don't
Mhm.
think that menstruation is something we will see as luxury.
I really
It
this
is something
conversation
that,
again.
yes, it is something that the girl child or the woman or the lady out there did not invent this upon themselves, did not call for this upon themselves. It is part of the human cycle. And it's unfortunate that, yes, men also don't menstruate, but if men were menstruating, I'm sure they would have had their voices reaching as far as
Of
making sure
course.
that sanitary products are not to be taxed and classified as a luxurious product.
As a
You remember the
luxurious
last time
product.
we had this conversation? This was last week Friday. I did mention that it is not only subjected to Ghana, but even in other European countries. So, for
Mm-hmm,
instance,
mm-hmm.
In Germany, for instance, it is considered there as a luxurious product. So, if we have one concerted voice and advocate for this thing, talk about it openly, use forums such as the General Assembly, the United Nations General Assembly, to talk about this. We can have globally, okay, sanitary products waived off as a luxurious product.
Yep.
Anything that is luxurious means that it's expensive to procure, it is
Yeah.
expensive to afford it. So you can imagine the disadvantaged girl in the rural community, not just in Ghana, but all over the world. You can talk about somebody in Vietnam. How are they coping when it comes to sanitary products because it is stamped as a luxurious
As a
product?
luxurious product.
And even in remote areas, not only in Africa, but in all over the world. So let's keep advocating, let's keep drawing the attention of policy makers on the fact that we need to shelve this whole tax component on sanitary products. The emphasis is that we want to make it ready available to everybody so that you see we should make their lives, we should make the lives of the girl child, every woman or lady out there very comfortable and soft.
Mm-hmm. Soft life.
Yes, soft life, and not burden them with taxes because You can imagine if you have about 5 girls, you're a family of about 5 girls, and as a parent, all these 5 girls are in school. It means that you need to procure or you need to buy sanitary products in much quantities to be able to take care of their needs.
And it doesn't come cheap.
Yes, and now that is a luxurious product. You can imagine. So you will just be doing your mathematics. Okay, they can manage with about 3 sanitary pads for 3 months before I restock it for them. But if the tax component is shelved off, it becomes very affordable, and we have
Mhm.
sustainable products. Okay, sustainable and economical sanitary products. Everybody can afford it in huge quantities and use it as much as they can.
They can.
Yes. So let's
Yeah.
continue advocating for it, hoping that policy makers would hear us one day. And yes, the powers that be will take decisions to be able to take off some of these taxes on some of these menstrual products, and then it becomes really accessible to everybody globally.
Yes, me. If you ask me, it is not a woman's problem or a girl's problem only. Because at the end of the day, if you're a dad, you're having to buy it. You're having to give the money to your girl to, or even your wife actually, to buy these products. Um, if you're a boyfriend or a nephew, a cousin, whatever, you're in one way still affected with, because I don't think you would sit down for um a girl or woman close to you struggle during that time of the month because of the prices or the taxes on these basic um needs for them to, or for us to have a decent flow during that time of the month. And
Yeah,
even when it comes to health as well, because the taxes that is being put on these things, that makes it very luxurious and
yeah,
unaffordable.
yeah,
It then adds up to causing these infections, all these health problems, which only burdens or brings more burden on a family or on
exactly.
a
Yeah,
child. So imagine a person
yeah,
with disability having to deal with disability, having to deal with infections, or extra or added or preventable health issues, just because what
they can't
um
afford it,
or
and then they
government
have
have
to now,
decided.
yes,
Mhm.
and then they have to now use alternative means of making sure they take care of their menstruation and all that.
So as the community, it affects us than we think. It's a continuous reoccurring issue, and it affects every single individual. It affects all of us, because the last thing you want is to see your young niece or your little sister, involved in relationship or sexual activities, just to be able to pay for menstrual products. And the thing is, because it's every month, it's not going to cease. They are going to have to find this or do get themselves in these activities every
Yeah,
single month.
yeah,
So it affects all of us, whether we like it or not. It affects all of us, so let's all not shy away from it and add
yeah,
our voices. The more voices we add, and we need to educate ourselves as well. I think it was during the May advocacy that we had Dr. Prempe on the show, and then
yeah,
she's a doctor, so she said when female menstruates earlier, in like some people have it very early.
yeah,
I think as young as 12, even before they become teenagers. Some
yeah,
people experience their first flow,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she said those that experience it earlier than the normal, let me put it that way, are more susceptible to having or contracting cancer later on, which
yeah,
I didn't even know. So you see, it's something that it's not just about noise making or just about the product. There is more to learn. There's more
yeah,
health implication than we think
yeah,
it is. Periods, when it's not flowing properly, can cause fibroids. I know there's a lot of studies on the food that we eat, but our
Yes.
menstrual health or menstrual hygiene also adds to um, the the excessivity of having these health implications like fibroids and so on. So it's not a topic that we should take lightly. And I would love to hear more men. I would love to like have at least three or at least another guy with Paul on this event, talking about it and bringing our ideas together and having this
Mm.
discussion. But I know with time, guys will shy away from it. And Paul, you're making
Yeah.
history. I'm telling you, you will be known for that guy. I don't wanna mention the name that you mentioned the last time. But
I told you, I told you in my workplace, they gave me a name, eh? They gave me a name, yes.
if you say it is fine, but I don't want to be the one that comes out with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they gave me a name,
maybe
yes.
maybe we
Yeah.
can call you the chocolate guy.
Yeah. But I think
Right.
that it's important that as much as it's a ladies thing, women thing, and even the ladies themselves, have difficulty even talking about menstruation, even
Mm-hmm.
discussing among themselves, sharing some experiences among themselves, and because some when they're about having their menstruation, or even when it sets in, because of the pain, the first 3 days they are coupled with a lot of pain, abdominal pains. Some are tempted to even take very sugary stuff, like Fanta and all those kind of sugary drinks, just so they can be able to have a very seamless flow. Okay, they just want to get rid of it quickly by taking some of these sugary stuff and all that. That is the notion that, okay, if I take this, it might work on me faster, it might flow a bit faster, then I can finish my period early. But let's not forget that it also comes with its health implications.
Mm.
It is designed to come within 5 days, and usually the first 3 days are very painful. It is obvious, depending on whoever, so some go severe pains and they can't even manage themselves. So come to think of taking in other substances just so to ease the pain and all that, it also comes with its health implications and all that. And when we talk about these things, we can be able to educate ourselves as men, and even the women, we share ideas. Like I said, in my office, because I'm a gender focal person, I openly have discussions with colleagues whenever we have programs and all that. I mean, team meetings and all those things. I will just chip in one or two things when it comes to menstruation, that hey, I think that let's have this open discussion and all that. So the idea is that we want to empower the women to be able to talk about it freely.
Mm-hmm.
Once we talk about it freely, it doesn't become sacred again. It doesn't become a taboo, because then everybody knows about it.
Everybody knows about it. Yes.
People can share experiences that, okay, in the first 3 days, this is what I do. I probably will get a warm towel, warm soap towel, put it around my abdomen, just try and then massage it a bit so that the pain can calm down and all that. If others are not sharing their experiences, how then do we even understand the whole concept of menstruation, the whole concept of the menstrual cycle and all that, what to do, what not to do, and all that. So it's by way of let's talk about it. Men, let's talk about it. Let's encourage our women to talk about it. If you are married, talk about it with your wife. Have that open discussion with your wife. Because sometimes we have instances where when women are menstruating, they probably will not want to go to the kitchen. They are seen as unclean in some jurisdictions in Ghana here, in some communities in Ghana here. When you are menstruating, you don't even go to the palace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't even
It's
go
not
to the
just in Ghana.
palace.
It's actually a common thing, where
Good.
some are even there's a shelter that is made for women solely for when they are menstruating, they're not allowed in the main compound or in the main house. There's
Good.
this there's yeah, it's just not in Ghana. This thing actually still goes on, which is
Good.
quite unfortunate.
So
Yeah.
if we talk about it, then we begin to orient community leaders because they also play a vital role, as part of stakeholders when it comes to health and all that. So if we have, yes, then people would now understand that, okay, when it comes to this time of the season, this is how we can, as men, this is what we can do to support. As a community, this is what we can do to support our young girls, our mothers, uh, ladies, and all that. This is what we can do. So let's continue having this open discussion. Let's encourage them. And then, especially for persons with disability, let's make sure that we have the right resources so that they can be able to menstruate freely without any form of obstacle or without any form of discrimination to them and all that. So it's very important that we have this conversation as well. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So for our listeners and viewers, thank you all for joining. I see people are loving the comment about the chocolate. There's a
yeah,
lot of comments on it.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, thank you to all that are saying this is a great initiative. Thank you very much. And we do hope that as you join, you're learning and you're also, it's also building that confidence in you to, join the conversation, or at least, even if you don't want to put your face out there, you gain something, and behind closed doors you are actually putting some of of these thoughts into practice.
yeah,
So yes, thank you very much. And again, this is AAA Foundation. We're here with our guest Paul Asante. We're talking about flow for all, menstrual health without limits. Without limits being extending the education, extending the advocacy to those living with disability, because they do end up getting forgotten, or not much attention is paid to them when it comes to these discussions or anything or policies that is to do with governing a community or a country. So in our own little way, this is what we can do as individuals and as organization in pushing SDG 4 and SDG 5, namely quality education and fighting equality, leaving no one behind. So,
yeah.
Mr.
Oh,
Paul Asante,
we can even add SDG number 3 that talks about good health.
and it covers number 10 as well, believe it or not.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we're doing a lot in one. But then the main focus being on number 4 and number 5. But however, it does cover a lot when it comes to this discussion and what we're looking to actually achieve at the end of the donation with the help me out with the mentorship and the career
yeah,
day as well. So
yeah,
we're looking for partners, we're looking for sponsors, we're looking for donors. So do get in touch with us. Follow myself or DM myself and Mr. Paul or AAA Group. And then we will come together to see how best we can make this day happen. It's going to be a very interesting one, because for us as an organization, is one of many that we want to embark on with people with disability. But menstrual health being an everyday um, advocacy for us, it would be nice, or it would be much appreciated to have companies and entities out there who are into menstrual health products, that we can collaborate and do more and reach more girls out there. So yeah, we're looking for partnership and sponsorship, as well as donors to help us um, get the things that we're looking for, and also to um, have a successful, not, I don't want to call it donation, but a successful day with the
yeah,
girls or the school with this the people with disability. Because I know we're not going to just talk to the females, we're going to teach the men or the guys as well, so that
yeah,
they will also understand um what it is, when it comes, or when we talk about menstruation, or when it
yeah,
comes to girls having that time of the month, like we will put it. So thank you very much, Mr. Paul Asante, and for considering AAA to be part of this great initiative. So my next question is really to do with why do you think after all these years, I mean this is 2024, and we're still having to have this conversation? Because I
Uh,
mean, girls have not just started menstruating. It's from since time began. So why do you think, even in Western countries, that we're still fighting for this? Why?
that's a very good question. Yes, it's something that, you see, from the onset is seen as a taboo.
Hmm.
So talk about it. And even in our basic education and all that, it is just for a limited period of time that you would have our tutors talk about menstruation. It's just for a brief period. That is it. Because it is something that is very uncomfortable for people to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And because we are not talking about it, it is still an issue. So yes, menstruation did not start now. It started so many decades ago, even from the time of Adam. But with technology advancement, modernization, we've had urbanization, people are gradually migrating from the rural communities back into the urban cities in search of greener pastures and all that. It is important that we still educate people, because if you don't have a proper educational system to talk about menstrual hygiene and the rest, chances are that you would have teenage pregnancy on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And that is 100% guarantee, especially even in urban cities. You still have people struggling to afford sanitary pads, and because they can't, parents are not able to afford it. Ladies or the young girls out there in such communities rely on their boyfriends, eventually leading to teenage pregnancy. But if we begin to talk about it, we create the awareness consciously, involving stakeholders, community leaders, opinion leaders, and all that. If we talk about it on a day to day basis, they now understand and would appreciate the fact that menstruation is something that you should never be seen as something that is so sacred, that is very it's so it's like a taboo. We don't even talk about it, but as part of our cultural norms and all that, we should talk about it. So in Ghana here, if you take a community, so for instance, those from Dodowa, those from Somenya and the rest, they go through how do you call it, puberty rites.
Mm-hmm.
It is a way of transitioning them into womanhood, where they go through processes and all that. And these days they cover their breasts, but in the old days you see them naked going through. Listen, if we don't start educating our young girls, especially in rural communities, we may end up having more teenage pregnancies. And these girls have not
Yes.
actually matured in a way that their wombs can be able to accommodate another child, another human being. The
Mm-hmm.
psychological effect of some of these things is that, oh, because I couldn't afford a sanitary pad, I end up getting pregnant because some unscrupulous man or guy out there decided to trick me with one sanitary pad, which eventually ended me, getting pregnant and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We have failed as a society if teenage pregnancy still is on the ascendancy, because our young girls in rural community schools, which we all see as disadvantaged, are not able to afford, or their parents are not able to even provide basic sanitary pads for them, then we have failed as a society.
Mm-hmm.
So, with a conscious effort of raising awareness that menstruation is something that we should never shy away with, let's keep talking about it. We want to have a community where we have at least, even if not zero teenage pregnancy, we reduce it to the barest minimum. maybe about 0.1 or
And even
0.3.
if there's going to be, shouldn't be through menstrual products. there should
Exactly.
there should be other reasons, like not like we want there to be menstrual
But
teenage pregnancy.
it
It
shouldn't
is
be
going to
because
happen,
of,
but it shouldn't
yes,
be
that,
because somebody can't
yes,
afford
afford
um
sanitary
yeah.
pads, and that is the reason why they are getting pregnant, because some unscrupulous men out there or guys out there are taking advantage by way of, okay, I can buy the sanitary pad for you, but this is what I want
I
in
want in
exchange.
return. Yeah.
Yes, I want sex in return, forgetting that these girls have not matured in a way that psychologically they can be able to accommodate another human being in their womb.
Hmm.
Health wise, they may not even be fit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And they're kids themselves, so
yes,
to bring
exactly.
another child into the
Exactly.
world, it's a lot to go through.
Exactly. Because you can imagine if your immune system or your hormones have not, haven't gotten to a stage where they can even accommodate another human being. And because of the fact that you can't afford one sanitary pad contains about 8 to 10 or 12 pieces.
Hmm.
It leads to teenage pregnancy. Then we would have failed as a society, would have failed as a community or as leaders. So it's important that we take it up. We do constant education, awareness creation on menstruation, not just in the urban cities, but again to the rural areas. And these days, because of technology, smartphones are available and all that. We can't be able to use such means and say that, listen, you can download a menstrual a flow app, you can read about it on the internet and all that, rather than having these students using the internet for social vices that are not even deemed fit and all that. Let's encourage them to be able to read more on menstruation, what to do, what not to do. We should be able to provide professional assistance to them, psychological, by way of counseling. So this whole career mentorship thing will serve to be able to create that opportunity for
Hmm.
various professionals who would volunteer on that day to say that, listen, if I had told this line, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today.
Yeah.
And that is why we have to have this continuous discussion again on menstrual hygiene. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Thank
most
you very much.
importantly, most
Hmm.
importantly, most importantly, persons with disability, we need to take a second. It's very important. Even the facilities that they are using to study and all that, administration, the various health rooms, like the washrooms and all that, access to clean water, the hygiene kits, toiletries, the washing soap, and all those things. If they don't have access to some of these things, they can be menstruating, but at the same time, they are creating more health implications for themselves,
Hmm.
because then you don't have access to clean water to be able to wash down. Now, it's important that we know that once you are menstruating, between 4 to 6 hours, you need to change your sanitary pad. It's very important. You can't keep your sanitary pad on for 8 hours, 12 hours, and all that. Between 4 to 6 hours, constantly you need to change them. You need to even wash down and all that. If we don't have clean water for them, resources, and all that, it becomes very challenging for them.
Hmm.
Safe disposal of the used sanitary pads, day off, and all that. We must begin to make sure that these resources are made available. When we are planning, we must also factor them to say that yes, we must provide clean water, toiletries, and all that should be readily made available to them. And it's a call to corporate Ghana, it's a call to corporate institutions, not just Ghana, but
Hmm.
all over the world. To our viewers watching all over the world, let's keep advocating for some of these things. As much as we plan and put up infrastructure and all, that's the disadvantaged ones, persons with disability. Our washrooms should be friendly for them to use, and make sure that, let's begin to make access, like, let's provide some of these sanitary products for them for free. I made an example that in my organization, we've started procuring sanitary pads for free for employees, which is for
Wow. Yeah.
emergency menstruation is readily available. You can come to the office, and sometimes because of work pressure and all that, your menses can just flow all of a sudden because of hormonal changes and all that.
Sometimes it comes too early or it comes late. So,
Exactly, and some
mm,
people even menstruate twice in a month. So we must begin to make sure that these resources are made available to some of these persons, especially with disability and all that.
mhm.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. That's a great submission as always. And you answered that question very well and more. So thank you very much. Yeah, so I mean it's the fact that since time it's been given a very negative outlook. When you're menstruating, you're unclean, you're not, you're
yeah,
is dirty, is this. So it's had a lot of negative implication without the
yeah,
fact that when you're menstruating, it shows you're fertile, it shows you're a woman, it shows you're maturing, it shows it there's a lot of positivity about it. But
yeah,
unfortunately that has not been there's not been a lot of that
hmm,
education, but just the other side of it.
yeah,
And aside everything else, it's also taking away the health implications that women it can
yeah,
have on women, or the pains that women have to go through. just
yeah,
just some people it's as extreme as childbirth, because I know people that get hospitalized or can't even walk
yeah,
during that time of the
yeah,
month. It can be
yeah,
very extreme.
yeah,
So for somebody to need the basic necessity to go through all of this and you call it luxury, I mean, come on, let's do better in
yes. We would have
2024.
failed as a society. Yes. So
Yes.
it's a call to policy makers, a call to legislative, our senators, our members of parliament, congressmen and women all over the world, that let's take a second look at this. Let's not discriminate on menstruation or pure poverty, persons with disability. Let's make sure that there is of menstrual products, and let's take off this luxurious menstrual products and all that. I mean, we can do better for persons with disability, and then also
Mm.
to everyone out there, to every lady out there, menstruation, equal rights, equal access to all these facilities, all these resources for menstruation and all that. Yeah, we'll be saving so much life.
Yes,
Saving
of
so
course.
much lives
And
out
we'll
there.
be we'll be actually solving a lot of other social issues by
Exactly,
doing this one thing.
exactly,
And also, I
exactly.
mean, with corporate bodies and even individuals that wait till the 28th. I'm not saying it's bad, it's still good, but we need to do more than just posing for the
Exactly.
pictures on the 28th of May
Exactly.
every year, for
And all that. I
yes,
mean, let's go behind the
it's an
scenes. Yes,
ongoing issues, and we
exactly.
need more than just
Exactly.
that one day in the year
Yeah.
to contribute to it. And if you see a lady, if you see a young girl in your communities, in school, whatever, that could benefit from a help with the sanitary product, please do help without really expecting
Yeah.
anything from it, especially with our
Yeah.
young guys and men out there. It's a lot to go through
Yeah.
as a only to then have to think of products, and then also to think of how to purchase the product just because you don't have the money. And I mean, a lot of these girls are in school. And I keep saying this, even for us that works, right? Sometimes I go to the shop, and if it is something that I could do without, I would not pay that amount of money for the product. However,
Yeah.
it's one of those things you cannot do without. So what do I have to do? I have to purchase it, and
Yeah.
it's still very costly if you think about it, adding it to your already existing responsibilities.
Yeah.
But it's not like eating out that you can say, I'll just eat out the last
Mm-hmm.
Friday of the
Mm-hmm.
month. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that unfortunately we have to face. And also with women as well, if we can be nice to ourselves, and each other
Mhm.
during that time of the month, I think that would also go a long way to help us, because if we as women are shying away from the conversation, even behind closed doors, it would not help. If we are also to do more and also ask for more and also educate people. So, for example, when you are in school or you are in a workplace, and someone is saying, "Hey, what because it's the month of the," let them understand that I wish it was like that, but you don't know what my body is going through, and try and educate people. And I know sometimes you can be edgy during that time of the month, as a way of educating each other as well. Let us be very sensitive during that time of the month, that not everybody puts on that. It's one of those things you can't even put on. And sometimes it starts a week before the actual blood starts. Sometimes to even after it's ended, your hormones are still doing its own thing. So it's a lot that you can't really put a finger on. But with constant education, with constant conversations, we know we're going to get there. And with persons of disability as well, again, a lot of people take advantage of them already in society. So when they have to also face this as another challenge, or to add to the already existing challenge, it becomes a lot to deal with. So this is why we're dedicating this event solely for people with, or those with disabilities. So thank you very much, Paul, for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you as a guest, and we'll have another conversation towards the end of the week. So do stay tuned. And we've put a flyer out there on the items that we need or we're looking to donate. So please, if you're an individual, even as an individual in your organization, if you know that your organization, this is something that they would gladly get involved, kindly let us know, and then we will do well to approach the right department to help us in either in kind or cash, to be able to put these items together. And also, if you are an organization or an industry that produces these items in bulk, and you also want to help us to be able to bring all of these together, or even give us some of the items in on not on credit, on discounts, I would very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is AAA Foundation. Kindly give us your support, follow us, and all the initiatives that we embark on. Aside period poverty or menstrual health, we do a lot of educational activities, ICT, mentorship, entrepreneurship, um, and so on. So, and we draw attention to street connected kids as well. So, do follow us and our organization on our projects and initiatives. And we're always looking for people to join, partner with, and sponsors, as well as donors and well wishers. So, yeah, do well to get in contact with us anytime, any day, and we will be here to have a chat. We are also always ready to learn. So thank you very much. So Paul, your last words.
All right. So I'll sum up by saying that none of us is as strong as all of us.
Hmm.
It's a
Wow.
concerted
Wow.
effort. Let's come together. Let's put our resources together, and it is all about menstrual health without limits. This time around, the emphasis is on persons with disability. Let's come together and show them some love. Let's get some chocolate, as they term it. They call it chocolate.
I
Or,
like it. It's
or
very
they call
positive.
sanitary pads chocolate. Let's come together, get more chocolates for them, and let's put some smiles on their faces for them as well. That is what love is all about, by showing care to your fellow human being, whether they are disadvantaged or not disadvantaged. And let's try not to discriminate when it comes to menstrual hygiene for persons with disability as well. So we need sanitary pads, we need toiletries, we need detergents so they can be able to, clean their hands and all that after using the sanitary pads and even disposing them of and all that. Yeah. Thank you all. And conversation with our host for.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to host you. It's all. I always learn something whenever we have this conversation. And like I keep saying, you're making history, and you'll go down in history in a very good way, and very memorable as well. Because in as much as I admire your courage, I also find it very you're a courageous guy, no, especially with the society that we're coming from as well, where people will say, hey, this guy too, you're doing the most. But again, if nobody does it, then nobody's going to do it. If you're always expecting someone else to do it, then nobody will do it.
Yeah,
Paul, I really do admire you. So we will always also be here to encourage you and to give you our share our platform with you, to learn more from you as you or we embark on this advocacy together. And when we look back in a day, a year, a week, a month, or years to come, we will know that these little events that we had not only educated our followers, but also went as far as helping to change policy.
yeah,
That will be the day. It will be great to see, and it
yeah.
will be a big celebration for us. So thank you, our viewers. Thank you, our supporters, and we do hope that you learned from our conversation today with Paul. If you didn't learn anything,
A man
menstrual
who talks
products is
about
chocolate.
a man who talks about menstruation. Yes, I am that man. Yes,
The chocolate guy.
that is it. A man who talks about menstruation and is so
Yes,
passionate about menstruation.
I
I am
know.
that person for you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah. Only I need to get you on the delay show. I'm going to message delay. Wow. Yeah, it's
yes,
always a pleasure, and it's always fun
yeah,
having you, having
yeah.
this conversation with you. So thank you all, and we're looking forward to hearing from our sponsors, supporters, partners, and entities out there to help us in our um, preparation towards acquiring these products to donate. And also, if say you can't even think of how to contribute or how to be part of this, how about like, comment, share, so that we can reach more audience? That would be great.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. This is Triple A. And then on this event, we've been talking about Flow for All, menstrual health without limits, as we extend the help and the need, and put more emphasis and more attention on people with disabilities. Nobody has to be left behind. And until we all win, no one has really won. So thank you all very much. And it's a wrap. Thank you until our next event. It's a bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.